Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Steph. Today's video is talking about sobriety and I'm going to be talking you through kind of my entire journey. So reasons why I went sober, tips that I have for if you're looking to go sober, and I'm basically going to just sit with you with this little frothy coffee. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I try to reply to every single one, so if I do know the answer, I will get back to you, and if not, I will hopefully point you in the right direction to one of the amazing people doing incredible work within this industry. Let me have a little sip. Oh my god, what is everyone's coffee order? Because mine is an oat milk latte and that is 10/10. I have now been sober for over 4 years, and during that time I have learned so much about who I am as a person, about sobriety, about other people going through this journey, and I really want to use this platform to talk about it. Not to ever make anyone feel guilty for drinking or for enjoying drinking, but the more I speak about it, the more beautiful conversations start, and I realise that actually in the back of most people's minds they're thinking, oh god, I don't actually like how this makes me feel, but I feel the pressure to do it. And unfortunately within our society and within different cultures and even religions, alcohol is a massive focal point of our lives, and I kind of just want to speak about it a little bit more. So if you are thinking about reducing your alcohol intake, hopefully this video will help. So where to begin? I think I'll start with the reasons why I gave up alcohol in the first place. I will say that I have not been an alcoholic. I've never had an issue with alcohol. I would kind of say I was more of a middle lane drinker, so I would go out with my friends of a weekend and yeah, I'd probably have a few too many drinks, but it never got to the point where I was like reliant on it. So it kind of got to the point where I was going out every single weekend without fail, sometimes weeknights if my friends were out and about, and I would love the experience of drinking. I would love nights out, I would love the giggles, I would love all of the memories we were making, but then I couldn't remember them the next day. And then I'd have this anxiety the next day, this anxious feeling that, oh God, what did I do? What did I say? There's blanks in my memory, I can't fill them in. And it would just make me feel really, really uncomfortable. And it wouldn't just be the mental side of things where intrusive thoughts were running round and round in my mind. It was also a physical reaction to drinking as well. I would wake up and my heart rate would be through the roof, beating through my chest. I would be sweating, I would have headaches, I would lose days to hangovers, and I would feel so unproductive. And I thought it was so difficult to be disciplined. And I woke up one morning after quite a big night of drinking and I just thought, this really isn't for me. I feel like I know my core values, I know who I want to be as a person, and the way that alcohol makes me feel, the choices that I make as a result of alcohol, I feel like they're not me, they're not aligned with who I want to be. The one thing that I can take away to kind of clear my path to being the person that I want to be is alcohol. I wonder if I can give it a go and see if it does make any changes and see if I actually enjoy it. So I didn't wake up one morning and think, I want to be sober and I'm never going to drink again. I woke up thinking, oh, I want to try this. I want to see if it works for me and my lifestyle and to see how it affects everything in my life. So that's exactly what I did. I was going on holiday with my partner at the time and we were going on a 3-week holiday, and I thought, do you know what? This is the perfect time to test this theory. I'm going away with someone I feel really, really safe with. He doesn't care if I drink either way. He just wants to be spending time with me. I'm gonna go away and not drink alcohol, and whenever I am in an environment where I would have a cocktail, I'm gonna have a fresh coconut or a mocktail, and that's exactly what I did. And I came back from that trip, I've never slept better, I've never felt more alert, and I just thought, I love how I feel, and I love that I remember every ounce of this experience. I'm gonna try and bring that into my lifestyle at home, and that's exactly what I did. So I started by telling all of my friends, I'm not drinking at the moment. I have decided not to drink. I've given it a 3-week go. Well, I'd given it a month at that time, so I was like, I've given it a month. I'm really enjoying it. Here's how I feel better. My mental health has improved. I just made it clear to everyone that when we were going on nights out and stuff, I'm not going to be drinking. And there were a few people that were like, oh, come on, just have one. Don't be boring. And don't be boring is a phrase that I hear so many people say. Whenever I get messages from people saying, I've told my friends I'm not drinking, and their reaction is don't be boring. And it is something that you really have to grow a thick skin towards. You will always get other people's opinions projected onto you, and it's not fair and we shouldn't have to put up with it, but it's something that throughout this journey I've had to learn. And there's 2 routes that these conversations go down. So either when I tell someone that I don't drink, they either say, oh, come on, don't be boring, or on the other side of it, someone's reaction will be, do you know what, I've really been thinking about that. My friend doesn't drink and they always have a great time, and I've really been thinking about that for a while. And it either starts a little bit of a confrontational conversation where you have to take banter and brush it off, or it actually opens up a beautiful conversation. So I'm not ashamed to say it anymore out loud. In fact, it's something I've done since the very, very early stages. I couldn't take people's banter as well as I can now because I think I'm so sure of my choices, and I know that not putting that toxic substance in my body benefits me hugely. So people can say what they want, they can peer pressure me as much as they want, but I know that I'm not going to take it. And I know that my friends are respectful. It's usually the new people that I meet that maybe don't understand me or my values. Or I look forward to the beautiful conversations that sentence starts. When I say, oh, I'm actually sober, a lot of people assume, oh, you're an ex-alcoholic, or you're in recovery, or you've been to rehab. But then when you actually explain to them, no, I haven't, I just got a little bit anxious, alcohol just didn't sit well with me, or I didn't enjoy the choices that I made when I was on alcohol. Because how I saw it was, I've always been passionate about health and wellness, and I always want to feel the best that I can, mentally, physically, spiritually. I've just always wanted to feel the best that I could. And I would go out on a night of drinking and I would make poor food choices that night. I would sleep in and I'd miss the morning. I wouldn't get daylight that next day. I probably wouldn't exercise. I would make poor food choices again. And that cycle was rolling 3 days out of the 7 days a week, every week, for pretty much all of my early 20s. I just thought enough was enough. So that's kind of my story up until where I am now. I just know that anyone watching this video has probably had that penny drop moment of, this isn't for me. This isn't working for me. It is so hard when our current society champions binge drinking and it celebrates it. It is so hard to go against that status quo. It depends on your friendship groups, your upbringing, your family situation, your work life. And for me, it was fine because I worked from home. I don't have these big entertaining work dinners or work drinks where you have to socialise with clients. So I understand that my situation may be very, very different to yours. But please know that more people are questioning alcohol and how it is making our bodies feel and how it is making our bodies function. More people are questioning that than you think. And there's been so much research and so many studies, especially around Gen Z drinkers, the pressure of social media, where growing up for me, if I wanted to go out in my teens and get drunk and completely make a tit of myself, there wasn't an Instagram story that would document that for 24 hours. Whereas Gen Z are recognising that actually all of your actions can be documented and recorded forever. There's actually been a huge wave of a younger generation not drinking. Now, obviously I've spoken about the wellness side of things and how it made me feel in terms of my mental health, but in terms of physical health, like I was noticing other negative, for example, alcohol causes an inflammation of your stomach lining, right? So I was really, really bloated. I noticed that my digestion was really affected throughout my kind of drinking years. I would always complain about being bloated, or I thought I had all food intolerances and things like that. In regard to my sleep, I would never sleep well. It would be a disrupted sleep. It wouldn't feel like a deep sleep. I'd wake up tired. I never felt well rested. Always a little bit on edge and anxious, as I mentioned before. I also got poorly all the time. And I don't know if that's because alcohol disrupts the absorption of essential vitamins and minerals. I don't know if it was because my sleep was disturbed. I don't know if it's because alcohol disrupted my gut microbiome. I don't know what it was, but I was poorly all the time. I would always get colds. I would always feel run down. I've noticed a huge shift in so many of those health concerns since cutting out alcohol. And like I said, I'm not here to preach to you. I'm just sharing my own personal experience. So, for example, I've never slept better. I feel like I could nap anytime, anywhere, sleep really well, get my full 8 hours, wake up feeling well rested and ready for the day. I feel like my digestion has improved so much and I'm more in tune with my hunger cues. I make better food choices. I don't really get bloated that often anymore. Occasionally I do when I'm stressed or if my sleep has been disturbed for any reason, but on the whole, I no longer diagnose myself with food intolerances. I would say that my skin has improved. So I used to get really dry skin. I used to get really, really bad breakouts if I had big nights of drinking, and I feel like that's cleared up a lot. My hair is probably the biggest benefit I've noticed. It's hard to know for sure if it was cutting out alcohol or recovering from an eating disorder, but my hair has been thicker, fuller, and it grows so much faster. And I genuinely believe it's because my gut microbiome is probably the healthiest it ever has been, is somehow interlinked. I'm sure someone can myth bust it for me, but I like to believe that that is true. I also feel like I have gained so much time from being sober. I have got hours back in my morning and I remember absolutely everything. So if I do go on a night out with my friends, we can still go out late. Like I recently went on a hen do and we were getting back at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but I would still get up, I'd still make the same positive choices, I would still go on my morning walks, I would still start the day fresh, and I could remember all of the things that we laughed at the night before. It just makes me feel safer within myself and I feel more confident within myself to show up as who I am, which is a definite benefit. And I feel like it's also boosted my confidence because I don't have the crutch of alcohol to hide behind anymore. I think before or if ever I was feeling a little bit out of my depth, I would just grab a drink as a prop, drink it, and let the liquid courage take over. Whereas I can't rely on that anymore. I feel like I have to push myself out of my comfort zone. I have to push past these awkward situations in social environments that are out of my comfort zone. Like I would say, I spend a lot of time by myself, speaking to a camera. I would say that I'm relatively introverted, but I've had to push past those boundaries in order to make conversation with new people without relying on alcohol. I would say that I have saved so much money because not only am I not spending 10 to 15 pounds on a drink in London, I'm not spending ridiculous amount of money on taxis because I've missed the last train home. I'm not then going out and buying huge amounts of food. There's just so many more choices that I have made that are more positive, that have saved me money in the long run. It's not the reason why I did it, but it's definitely a benefit that I have noticed. I also feel like I have far deeper conversations with all of my friends and the people that I meet. Not in the sense that it's like a group therapy session every single time, but I just feel like there's more depth to the conversation. It's less empty chit chat, it's less superficial, and I feel like I've got a deeper connection with all of my friends, and I adore it. And I think it's such a beautiful thing, and that also might be coming out of lockdown and after COVID, maybe we're craving that more. And then the last benefit I feel is if ever I meet someone that is sober or has reduced their alcohol intake or has even been sober, you know when people do little stints where maybe for the month of January they don't drink, it's like a cult and I absolutely love it. You know, if ever you go on a run or a walk and you see other runners or walkers and you have that nod like, I see you, I respect you, I am one of you. That's what it's like, and I just love the cult and I want to bring more people into it because it does make you feel part of something, and not drinking can be isolating. When all your friends are getting shots in and you're there with the water, or when everyone's splitting a bottle of wine, you can feel quite isolated. So the moment you find someone that is in that sober community or is thinking about it or has done it before, it's very consolidating and it does boost your confidence that little bit. So I also want to talk to you about some of the tips because I understand what it's like. You can make a choice that you're not going to drink, and then you're on the way there and you're like, yeah, I'm so set in my decision, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to drink. Then you get to the environment and your friend looks at you and goes, go on, have one. And you're like, okay, fine. And then you tell yourself, yeah, I'm just going to have one. And then 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 5, and then you bully yourself for not sticking to this goal that you've set yourself. And I do want to say that this journey will not be linear, especially if it's a difficult decision and your friendship groups do revolve a lot of their social occasions around alcohol. Please do not beat yourself up if you fall off the bandwagon. I freaking hate that phrase. I think you can restart it at any point. If you go out on a Friday and you ended up drinking alcohol and you've got plans on the Saturday, you can restart then. You have the power to make these decisions, and it's just about implementing boundaries. As a recovering people pleaser, I know exactly how hard that can be. Implementing boundaries is an extremely difficult process that takes time, that takes confidence, that takes finding your voice and also finding who you are. Like, you need to know who you are to be able to say, this is me, this is my decision, and nothing you can say is going to sway that. And that does take time, so please be gentle with yourself throughout this entire process. For me, the one thing that definitely helped was telling everyone. I do it all the time. I kind of speak everything into existence, and I will just bleh everything out and just be like, this is what I'm doing. Okay, take it or leave it. This is what I'm doing. My friend's like, all right, Steph. So I definitely think that telling people either before the night out, like even if you were to send a WhatsApp message, be like, oh, girls, just to let you know, I'm actually not drinking tonight, so I'm still going to come out and have a good time, but I'm not drinking. They might have things to say, but at least you've set that tone, you've implemented that boundary, and it just makes it a little bit easier than having to explain throughout the night to 6 different people that you're not drinking or why you're not. Then I would say when you get to that social occasion, try and get through the first round of drinks without having a drink. And I think if you can get through the first hour, you won't even notice, because everyone will be on that kind of like bubbly, tipsy stage. They won't really notice that you're not drinking. And if you were to get a lemonade or something in a gin glass, make it look like you're drinking, you wouldn't have to explain it to new people. And then if you can get through that first hour, I genuinely believe you can get through the whole night. And you just keep saying, oh, no, not this round, not this round. And you just keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And then it's actually really empowering to like dance in a club environment, dance in a bar environment completely sober. It is so empowering. And I think we forget how freeing it is to just move, release all of your inhibitions, and you don't need a toxic substance to do that. It's all within you. And also your friends want to spend time with you. They're friends with you for a reason. They're not friends with you because of the drink that you have in your hand. And I think these kind of mantras and these kind of things, obviously your confidence will build over time the more you test the waters and the more you do it, but these are the things that you constantly need to remind yourself that it doesn't matter what you're holding in your hand, your friends love you for you and you're there for a reason. And following on from that, people do, like I mentioned, project their thoughts, feelings, past learned experiences, whatever it might be, they project it onto you, right? Because you're basically challenging their beliefs. So if they're a big drinker and you suddenly say, I'm not drinking, they're gonna subconsciously be like, well, I drink, so you're the weird one in this situation. And they might throw something your way like, oh, that's boring, or I don't get why you're not doing that, whatever it might be. And you just have to keep reminding yourself that other people's opinions of you have nothing to do with you, and other people's comments have nothing to do with you. All you've done is decide that you are not drinking an alcoholic substance. They filled in the blanks and they've then projected that onto you, and that is not your responsibility. More normalised to drink than to not, and I'm hoping that is shifting, so hopefully you won't have to put up with comments for very long. Prepare yourself for peer pressure. If it doesn't happen, wonderful, but if it does, you're kind of grounded in that decision, you know in your gut it's what you want to do, you've prepared yourself for it, so you'll have a thicker skin to say, no thanks, not tonight, or no thanks, I don't do that anymore. Another tip that I would say is have plans for the morning after. Book in to see another group of friends for a coffee, or book in for an early morning dog walk, because that way when people are like, oh, go on, stay out a bit later, you can be, oh no, so I've got plans tomorrow. And not that you need excuses, but I hate cancelling on friends. So if I've got something in the morning, even in my early days, if someone was peer pressuring me into drinking, I'd be like, oh no, sorry, I've got plans tomorrow. Same with like, I now drive because I know I'm not drinking, I feel safer in my car. If I want to stay out later than the last train, I don't feel pressured to then have to rush off or get the last train home, so I usually drive. And that is another great thing, like, oh no, it's fine, I've driven, blah, blah, blah. And just putting in these little boundaries that if they're not taking what you're saying as a boundary, you have other things kind of behind you. So as you're pushing back to them, if they push back to you, it's almost like you've got 4 more people pushing back as well and helping you. Also, reaching out to friends and planning social activities that aren't surrounded by alcohol. Like, there's so many fun things to do when you don't have to be in these environments if you're finding it quite triggering at the moment. There is an amazing app that I'll link below called Reframe, and it's where you log all of your sober days, and it tells you, oh, day 2 that alcohol has left your system and all of that kind of stuff, and it keeps you accountable. It tells you facts related to your body, your journey, and it's really, really great for keeping accountability and for also celebrating yourself. I think you really need to celebrate yourself for going against what's normal and putting yourself out there and making a decision for yourself. It is a really empowering decision. So my top tip for all of this is definitely celebrate yourself throughout this entire journey. All of the mini wins as well as the big ones too. And like I've said before, like, know that your journey may not be linear, and that is okay. You might have a month where you don't drink at all and you feel great, and then maybe you have a night where you drink and you feel great, and then you go back into drinking and you feel, oh, not so great, so then you come back. You also don't have to label yourself. I think I love the term sober curious, people who are fascinated by the idea of sober but not ready to do it yet. They dip their toe in, maybe they don't drink it during the week, only on the weekends, and that's how you start. However it is, it's your journey and that needs to be celebrated. But I think constantly asking yourself questions like, do I actually want to drink? If it's a no, can I make the decision not to? Can I have the confidence not to? And it's constantly asking yourself those questions. And you don't have to label yourself anything. You don't have to label yourself a sober person. I'm an alcohol-free person. You don't have to do that. I'm hoping that the main thing you take away from this video is that actually your decisions are your decisions and no one else's. And you have to have the confidence to stand up for yourself, to back yourself enough to know what you deserve. And I think a lot of us don't, and we just go with the flow of everyone and everything because it's easier and it's because what everyone else is doing. And it's harder to be different, but be different and celebrate your differences and you shouldn't be ashamed of being who you are. So lastly, I've been sitting on my foot for so long it's gone to sleep. Let me bring this camera down. Oh my God, my foot is actually gone dead. It's my own fault for talking for so long. But lastly, I just wanted to talk through some drink alternatives that I would also recommend. So on a night out, I would usually go for a ginger beer with fresh lime in it. I just found lemonade a little bit too sweet, not the biggest fan of Coke. Ginger beer I felt like I could last for quite a long time. So either a soda water with fresh lime or lime cordial, or a ginger beer. Again, what I mentioned before, a lemonade or a tonic water in a gin glass you can also ask for behind the bar. They might look at you at first like, what you're doing, and then you can explain. I also, if ever I see something on a cocktail list that sounds really nice, I'm like, oh, can you do this without alcohol? And they'll be like, are you sure? That's always the reaction, are you sure? Or if you order a mocktail, they'll be like, you know, that's got no alcohol in it. And I'm like, yes, I did know that. But that would be kind of my first port of call. I'm actually really happy on water, I'll be honest. I feel like a hydrated queen by the end of the night. It is a little bit boring, but the choices aren't there yet. They are definitely coming. There are also some amazing non-alcoholic brands on the market. I will say this isn't just a plug, this is not the reason why I did this video, but I have developed a non-alcoholic spirit called Carews, and it was developed for the complete reasons, one, why I went alcohol free, and two, because I felt like there weren't really any alcohol spirits on the market that I liked. A lot of them that I tried, they were very botanical or very floral and probably designed more to I say adult palate, I am an adult, but to an older audience that I couldn't really relate to. I didn't want a gin, so I didn't want to replicate a gin. I didn't want a vodka, so I didn't want to replicate a vodka. And then I looked at the ingredients, and a lot of them are chemicals and preservatives and distilled water. So I'm like, why am I paying all of this money to fill my body with chemicals? I'd rather have a Diet Coke for 70p. So I wanted to develop something that was health-led, that had natural ingredients, that was low in preservatives or preservative-free. And then I also looked into adaptogen and nootropic ingredients, and they basically help your body adapt to stress. They can give you cognitive benefit, they can give you energy or make you feel relaxed, and I developed this brand called Carews, so I will link it below if you would like to try it. We have 2 recipes in the range and they come in 2 sizes. The smaller ones are completely preservative free and the larger ones have a small amount of preservative. But like I said, I'm not here to sell you anything. It's just a delicious non-alcoholic alternative that I love having in my home to either serve to my guests or to enjoy by myself. Of an evening to just crack open a Drift with lemonade is my absolute favourite. So Drift is the one that makes you feel calm and relaxed, and then Uplift is the party one that gives you energy. I know I'm biased, but that is definitely my personal favourite non-alcoholic spirit, just because, like I said, I don't want a gin, so I don't want to replicate one. I don't want the flavour of one. That's not my bag. Actually, there's really good non-alcoholic beer brands. I don't drink beer, so I can't really recommend one. But I know that my partner loves the Guinness 00. There's the Beck's Blue, I think, that they're now starting to do on tap. I love also a Prosecco, so that's the Prosecco alternative. And there's also another one called Bell & Co, which again is more like a, I want to say like a rosé Prosecco kind of vibe. But I just think more and more are going to be popping up, which is amazing. I think it's so important that this industry grows and the non-alcoholic space grows, because I think more and more people are leaning that way and making the choice for themselves. I hope I've covered everything. I should have really planned this video a little bit more, but I hope it has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. If there is any other questions that you have when you're watching this video back, please let me know in the comments, and like I said, I'll get back to you. If I don't know the answer, I will go away and ask someone that does, and I will come back to you as well. But I'm just basically so passionate about people making decisions for themselves, for taking their own lives into their own hands, and for not letting other people dictate how you should or shouldn't live your life. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be posting more sober content, and I'll be back next week on Saturday with another video. Lots of love. Bye.